Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far. I hope you had a really good weekend. I wanted to say something, and I actually meant to do this on Tuesday, but I completely forgot just with everything going on and with like my foot hurting and I mean you cannot imagine the pain that my foot is in after being at work all day where I'm constantly having to be on my feet, climb up and down a set of stairs, walking around, not getting a lot of time to rest because we've been really busy and that pain just intensifies so much after being at work. And then on top of that, you have it wrapped and in a shoe and just that pressure once you like, oh, it's horrible. Okay. I can't explain it. It's my own fault. I kicked a wall. I was stupid and I'm paying the price for the consequence of being dumb. However, I meant to mention on Tuesday that I had just reached 100 episodes since I started the podcast. And I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that to me that's an achievement that I set out to start this and I feel like I've gotten better with it as time goes on and I've gotten more comfortable and also just to know that I started this and then 100 episodes later, I am still invested in doing it. The fact that I have a regular job and I do this on the side, and it's not like I have a recording studio. I don't have like a laptop or my own computer to do this. We share one computer in the household. Can't do it on my phone, especially if I want to do it on YouTube as well. And so to have to get up at, after I've been working all day, then the next day to get up at 5 a.m. to record 2 episodes for that day and then the next day. And then, of course, I have the rest of the day off. I don't go to work, but I clean. I'll catch up on some reading. I'll promote the show. I have other things that I do that when I'm not at work that I do at home, take care of my dad if his knees are hurting or his back is bothering him, those types of things, and laundry, whatever it is that you do around your house, cook lunch, whatever. And then I have to go to work the next day, and then the next day after that, after I've been working all day, do the same thing again. Get up at 5, record 2 shows, get them ready for that day and the next day. And that's how I have to do it, but I don't mind it because I enjoy it. And I started out just doing 3 episodes a week, which were on my days off. But I love having a goal to set and a purpose to follow. And I feel like this is my purpose. And I've said this before, it doesn't matter if this blows up into some type of big career. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Just the fact that I can do it is that's good enough. And I have 21 subscribers on YouTube. I know that's small, but that's really big to me. 21 people that subscribe to my channel, that means a lot to me. And I appreciate every single one of y'all who have subscribed to my channel. And everybody that's listening on audio only, I appreciate each and every one of y'all that have subscribed to the podcast or liked the podcast, listened to it every time I post something. It means a lot to me. Okay. With that being said, I absolutely forgot to pull up our devotional. And now I want to let you know that I am recording this in advance, way in advance, because I have a lot of stuff coming up. And so I have to make some recordings and get them geared up for the beginning of next week. So I don't even know what date this goes up. Today is the 28th, correct? Yes, today is the 28th. Okay, so that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay, so this would be for Monday. I'm sorry, you guys. I had to record because the first couple days of next week, I will not have time to do anything. So I'm doing it now while I'm home alone. Okay, I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand. I shall not be moved. Psalm 16:8. Strong is our Lord, and powerful the force of his mighty arm. You shall never need fear any power of earth or heaven, for naught can shake you from his unbreakable grasp. His hands of power and might are hands of safety and protection for his own, and hands of wrath and destruction for his enemies. Rejoice, O believer, that you are his child. Okay, I I'm sure if you're watching on YouTube, you can see all of my stuff across the top there. A lot of stories that I want to talk about. I don't want to sign that. So this popped up on Facebook. This article is from conventionofstates.com, and it said that Nancy Pelosi wants to open Capitol Police offices in Florida and California. But why? So let's see why. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, has directed the Capitol Hill Police to open offices in California and Florida to operate proactively to root out domestic extremists that could threaten members of Congress or other federal government officials. Hitherto, the official function of the Capitol Hill Police has been to prevent property damage and defend the occupants of the Capitol building from physical attack. This is the first time that a local police force has been ordered to set up extraterritorial offices outside its jurisdiction. Anybody who knows anything about this type of stuff, let me know if this actually would be illegal, if they don't have the legal right to do this. I would like to know. I'll look into it as well. However, there is a twist to this particular local police force. It is a federal body because of DC's unique status, and it is overseen by appropriations and authorization committees from the U.S. House of Representatives and U.S. Senate. In short, its leadership, composition, and mission are influenced heavily by whoever controls Congress. In this case, Pelosi and Senator Leader Schumer. A serious caveat: unlike other government agencies, the Capitol Hill Police is not subject to the Freedom of Information Act and consequently does not make any Inspector General reports available to the public. So everything they do will be on the hush hush and we'll have no right to know what they're doing. The new offices that Pelosi would set up are tasked to coordinate with U.S. attorneys of respective DOJ state offices. In essence, the new arrangement will have the capacity to place in operation a team of police and attorneys to target individuals or groups. Because of the oversight role of congressional committees, the whole process is subject to potential police political influence. There are at least two narratives to attempt to explain this development. Number one, it may be viewed as a continuation of a narrowly construed attack against the 45th President of the United States, a phenomenon that has had various aspects and actions since 2016. In this narrative, the police action is a follow up to the January 6th demonstration and an attempt to preempt similar actions in future. Number two, in combination with the widespread and violent movement to delegitimize and even defund local police forces that played out in various major cities during 2020, Pelosi may be seeking to establish precedent for federalization of some or all police activities. That is, she may have in mind an attempt to substitute the responsibilities of local government for activities normally carried out by police forces with a new chain of command in which police forces in future will be beholden to congressional leadership. Liberty loving Americans should be asking a few serious questions. What is to prevent the multiplication of such offices throughout the 50 states? They have already communicated that is their plan. And then, what is to prevent the corruption of such an exercise? It does not take much imagination to see this newly proposed organizational structure as rife with potential for partisan political distortion based on which party is in control of Congress at any given time. What is the legal justification to act in this manner? How will this new constellation of forces interact with other state and local law enforcement agencies and the elected state and local authorities to which they report? Also, to the point, there already exists a national domestic counterterrorism institution, replete with local offices and ample funding. It is called the FBI. Myriad intelligence agencies already collect more than enough data on U.S. citizens, supplemented by data collected and shared by private sector corporations and NGOs. The DOJ already has a civil rights division, which certainly has been active for decades. Americans are voicing their concerns about this new instance of federal overreach. It's definitely a symptom of a very large problem in our nation today, but we have a solution as large as the problem. 15 states have already fully passed legislation for holding an Article 5 convention of states. Many more have passed similar legislation through a committee and even through one branch of the legislature and grow closer every day to joining the 15. Once we reach 34, we will convene with every state sending commissioners to brainstorm and propose amendments to limit terms for federal seats, including Congress, provide a methodology for balancing the annual budget while still providing for emergency circumstances, and for limiting what is increasingly becoming commonplace federal overreach into states. Whether you are in a past state or nearly past state, or a state just beginning the process, you can help by letting your state know you are one constituent that is tired of the out of control federal government and ready for the states to exercise their constitutional power to rein it in. Simply sign our petition below and we'll do the rest, sending a copy of your signed petition to your state legislators. Together we can do what Congress fails to do, compromise for the greater good of our nation. So they already have over 2 million signatures. Um, so, an article, a convention of the states, which is Article 5 of the United States Constitution, it's restricted to proposing amendments that will impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, limit its power and jurisdiction, and impose term limits on its officials and members of Congress, which I've been saying forever that we should have term limits for these people. So senators serve for a full 6 year term, right? So they get elected, they serve for 6 years, and they run again. Once you serve your 6 years as a senator, you're done, you're out, move on, go get a real job. House of Representatives, they serve 2 years. So I think they should be allowed to serve two-year terms. So if you get elected, you serve your 2 years, you're reelected, serve another two. But after that fourth year, you're done, you're out, move on, get a real job like everybody else. And another thing that would truly keep our country from going into continuous debt is to stop paying people that have left office. They still get paid. So, like the presidents, the former presidents, they still get paid. And why? I don't know. Go get a real job. Um, this is the balance. I don't know how accurate it is, but so let's see. Barack Obama made $400,000 per year while in office. He received 1,153,000 in 2018. Um, it doesn't have anything there. So, and they have an expense account of $50,000. Former presidents receive a pension and other benefits when they leave office. The benefits former presidents receive is nearly $4 million a year, with more than 40% of that cost in office space. While the first spouse has many responsibilities, the position does not pay a salary. Also, this is interesting, but the Constitution requires a president to take a salary. The founding fathers wanted to protect even wealthy presidents from misfortune that could tempt them to take bribes. The salary may have also been designed to ensure that a lack of personal wealth would not prohibit a president elect from taking office. So there are 4 presidents who have refused a salary. Instead, they donated all or part of it. Donald J. Trump donated his $400,000 annual salary to various federal departments from 2017 to 2020. As of October 15th, 2020, Trump's net worth was $2.5 billion. He lost a lot. John F. Kennedy donated his $100,000 salary to charity. He was the beneficiary of a multi-million-dollar trust fund. He also donated his salary while serving 14 years in Congress. So he didn't even take money while he was in Congress. Herbert Hoover divided his salary between various charities. He gave some of it to his staff. Hoover's net worth was around $4 million in 1913, worth about $105 million today. George Washington donated his $25,000 salary. He used some of it for travel expenses. He needed a special chariot to take him through the rugged roads of the South. He had also foregone a salary while he was our nation's military commander. So there you go. Um, so the Former Presidents Act of 1958 ensures that U.S. presidents get paid for life. Congress passed the act to provide for President Harry Truman. After he left office, he had many financial problems. The act provides former presidents with a pension. They also receive funds for travel, office space, support staff, and mailing costs. The pay should equal that of a head of a federal government executive department. In 2020, these executive level 1 employees received $219,200. Ex-presidents also receive 7 months of transition services. It covers the cost of winding down the outgoing administration and briefing the incoming administration. They receive funds for office space and office staff. The aggregate salary for the staff is capped at $150,000 a year for the first 30 months and $96,000 a year afterward. Widows or widowers of former presidents receive $20,000 a year. That I understand. I understand widowers, but to be given what did it say? What do they get? Over $200,000 a year? That they don't deserve it. They're not doing anything anymore, so they shouldn't be getting it. I definitely disagree with that. And we probably wouldn't go into so much debt if we stopped. Okay. Um, this next one I want to talk about is from the Gateway Pundit. The feds arrested 5 members of the same Texas family for walking through the Capitol on January 6th, leaving behind one minor child alone and parentless. Feds arrested 5 members of the same family, a father, mother, and their 3 children, on Tuesday for their participation in the January 6th Capitol protests. Christy Munn, Tom Munn, Don Munn, Josh Munn, and Kaylee Munn, described by federal prosecutors as a nuclear family from Borger, Texas, are now each facing 4 federal charges for entering the Capitol building through a broken window. These kids don't even look old enough to be charged. They're just with their parents, doing what their parents are doing. The family brought a minor child with them into the Capitol who is not being charged. Well, I'm so glad you're being so gracious as to not charge a minor child. They all look like minors to me, though. The unidentified minor is now without a family, no parents and no siblings, because of a radicalized DOJ arresting and holding political prisoners. According to the 34-page complaint filed Tuesday, the entire Munn family entered the Capitol through a broken window, took a brief tour, destroyed nothing, and didn't harm anyone. So, is it saying even that says it? Okay, I thought this was going to be like the thing for it. Okay. The family literally touched nothing inside the Capitol, but the feds arrested and charged them anyway. The FBI says they received a tip that Christy Munn was inside the Capitol from a person who took screenshots of the woman's Facebook and Snapchat accounts. The FBI also interviewed 3 of the Munn children's teachers and obtained some of the private Facebook messages the Munn family had with their friends. The only damage to the Capitol building was several windows and sets of doors, the father, Tom Munn, wrote on Facebook. Nothing inside the Capitol was damaged. I can tell you, patriots never made it to the chamber. There was no violence in the Capitol building. The crowd was not out of control. They were angry. According to ABC News, none of the members of the Munn family have entered plea deals, and they shouldn't. Let's read some of these. DJ23 says, meanwhile, over 1 million illegal immigrants have feloniously invaded our country. What are Democrats doing? Flying their relatives in from their countries to join them here? John Magnum posted 1776.2. It's frickin' time or America is freaking gone. Henny.2 says, communists have hit the ground running. The judicial system is being turned into an equivalent of the KGB in no time. American patriots are being preyed upon on fabricated charges. Communists have taken positions to round up cattle. Freeman Walking. DOJ was compromised under Obama, along with all the alphabet agencies. Now he is overtaking the military. This says Obama took orders from an unidentified person, as Alan Dershowitz revealed last spring. Obama and Biden had the same supervisor. I don't know anything about that. Gramps said, time to start meeting again in the churches and taverns. Leave your smartphones at home. Yep, I would agree. The Democrat Party is starting to resemble England before we won the Battle of 1776 for our independence. We might have to fight for it again. Yeah, we might, but so many people are saying, "Oh, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to fight for my rights," but then they do absolutely nothing. They talk a lot of talk, but they're going to be too lazy to get up and actually finally do something. That's what I think. Oh no. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Um so this past Monday, Georgia held a hearing to contest fraudulent Senate election results. So here's what we know. This is from rightcountry.com. On Monday in Henry County Superior Court, a lawsuit was heard that deals with contesting the certifications of John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock as the winners of the 2020 election for two of the state's U.S. Senate seats. According to a report published by Gateway Pundit, from former state representative Vernon Jones, attended the hearing and gave a press conference to discuss the important topic of voter fraud in the state of Georgia. The lawsuit, brought by Atlanta resident Mike Dougherty back in January, contests the certifications of John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock as the winners of the election for Georgia's U.S. Senate seats and seeks a new election conducted on paper ballots under Georgia Code 21-2-334. Listed defendants include Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock, Fulton, DeKalb, and Coffee County election boards, as well as the Georgia State Election Board. The lawsuit alleges the results of this election do not accurately reflect the intent of eligible voters in Georgia and therefore should be overturned. The lawsuit points to significant misconduct, legal irregularities committed by election officials, procedural violations, and security breaches surrounding electronic voting equipment, among other things. A joint press conference will immediately follow the hearing outside the courtroom. In attendance will be former state representative Vernon Jones, an election integrity advocate, as well as Mr. Mike Dougherty and others involved in the case. Representative Jones is not affiliated with this legal filing. Here's a look at the original lawsuit that Fulton County resident Mike Dougherty filed in regards to potential voter fraud. Um, yeah, so Fulton County Registration and Election Board. So, yeah, all parties are hereby ordered to appear on July 19th, 2021. Oh, so this is older than last Monday. My bad. Anyway, I didn't hear about it though. So, Vernon Jones has been a very outspoken conservative who has been calling for the truth about this 2020 election to be revealed to the American people. Jones recently called for GOP Governor Brian Kemp to resign from his post over the way he's handled the calls for recounts and forensic audits. Along with that, he's also called for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to begin looking into reports of tens of thousands of duplicate ballots that are missing their chain of custody documentation. Today, in addition to Brian Kemp, Georgia resignation, I am calling for an immediate GBI investigation into reports of duplicate ballot counts and thousands of missing chain of custody documents. Our governor had a duty to do his due diligence before certifying our election, Jones posted on Twitter. He failed. Jones gave a comment to GP in which he stated that as governor, Brian Kemp had an obligation to conduct his rightful due diligence before certifying our election. With every passing day, it's become increasingly clear that he did not do that. He not only failed our state, but he failed our country. Jones has not at all been shy about delivering scathing criticism, not only about Governor Kemp, but also Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, accusing both men of failing to conduct a secure election. It's simple. Under Georgia law, residents must vote in the county in which they reside unless they change their resident within 30 days of the election. However, a basic examination of the data has shown thousands of Georgians may have voted in a county in which they no longer resided, thus making their votes illegal. This proves that there were potentially tens or even hundreds of thousands of illegal votes cast in the 2020 election, which is on top of all the other irregularities we already know to be true, including but not limited to hundreds of thousands of legally required chain of custody documents that are still missing for absentee ballots deposited into drop boxes, statistical impossibilities found in vote tabulations, including at least 5 batches of ballots in Fulton County, each appearing with the exact same vote count of 392 for Biden, 96 for Trump, and 3 for Joe Jorgensen. More than 2 dozen batches of mail-in absentee ballots scanned twice in tally sheets in Fulton County, dozens of sworn affidavits from credible, experienced election workers and voters who, under penalty of perjury, bore witness to other incidents of fraud or illegal behavior. I think it's pretty clear to most Georgians by now Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger failed to conduct a secure election, and they've been trying to cover it up ever since. It seems with each day that passes, there's more and more evidence to suggest that the Democrat Party, along with many of its supporters, worked together to ensure President Donald Trump was not given a second term. We need to take action to make sure that our election system is preserved and every voice heard. Amen. I agree with that. So I'm glad that people are finally stepping up and trying to get something done. I really am. This is really important. It's got to be done. Okay, so I thought this next story was interesting. This is from the Daily Caller. So Putin orders 2 Doomsday planes to be built in case of future nuclear war. Pretty interesting. So Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered the construction of 2 upgraded Doomsday planes that would be used in the case of a nuclear emergency, the New York Post reported. The new planes feature a windowless exterior and would theoretically evacuate Russia's president and other key government officials in the chance of a nuclear attack, according to the New York Post. Russia is the only other country apart from the U.S. to have a Doomsday plane. They are also set to serve as command and control posts to send orders to the local military in case of a devastating nuclear conflict, according to the Post. Russia's Doomsday aircraft was developed in the 1980s. Similar to the newer model, its purpose was to evacuate the country's president as well as other senior officials in case of a nuclear war, London News Today reported. The new aircraft are to be built in the southern Russian city of Voronezh, what? Voronezh, according to the outlet. The new Doomsday aircraft would not only be able to fly twice as far, but also transmit radio signals for nuclear takeoff commands within a radius of 6,000 kilometers, the Defense Post reported. Tensions between Russia and the U.S. have hit a new low in recent months. However, President Joe Biden and Putin agreed to resume talks to reduce the risk of nuclear war, CNBC News reported. So, isn't it a little bit crummy to think that these people are the only people that deserve to be evacuated if something bad happens? Nobody else is that important. I just thought it was interesting. It was a short little story, but I thought it was interesting. Also, a girl gets attacked by a crocodile on vacation and lives to tell the tale. This is also interesting. I know it's not political, but they were interesting. So I absolutely wanted to talk about it or just read about it. A Californian teenager was attacked by a crocodile while on vacation and managed to barely survive the ordeal. Kiana Hummel, 18, while on vacation at the Marriott Resort in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, had opted for a night swim with her friend, but were ambushed by a crocodile before they reached the water. It immediately pounced on Hummel's right leg, the New York Post reported Wednesday. The young woman recalled she acted quickly and fought back the crocodile by punching it repeatedly and vigorously until it released her, according to the New York Post. It was a 12-foot crocodile, and there is a picture of where it clamped down on her leg. She's very fortunate that it wasn't worse than that, to be honest. However, despite releasing her at first, the crocodile attacked again, this time dragging her into the water, according to the outlet. The young woman explained that the crocodile was determined to kill her. It didn't want to give up. It went for my right leg and pulled me under the water, and then went for my left leg and pulled me back into the water again. Eventually, a group of people who heard her desperate calls for help came to her rescue and managed to save her from the jaws of death. She was hospitalized, and she still can't walk since she suffered severe injuries. Hummel is in California, from where she is scheduled to undergo a second surgery. I'm pretty grateful that people were there to help me. Hummel said from her hospital bed at Marin General Hospital. I don't think I would have gotten out without them, she added, according to NBC News. So, I mean, yeah, that's a pretty bad injury, but, well, I mean, it could have been worse. She could be dead. So, she's very, very lucky. Very lucky. Um, so apparently, now this is political. Apparently, France warned the US in 2015 about the Wuhan lab it helped build, former COVID-19 investigator claims. This is interesting. So in 2015, French intelligence officials warned the U.S. State Department that China was cutting back on agreed collaboration at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, a former State Department official told the Daily Caller News Foundation. France provided the lab's design, much of its technology, and biosafety training. The French government and public and private French scientific organizations gave their support to constructing the lab, the Prime Minister of France said at the lab's accreditation ceremony in February. French security and defense experts did not support sharing the sensitive technology. Okay, so the U.S. federal government should have stopped funding research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in 2015 when China reduced its cooperation with the French in building and operating the lab, according to the leader of an investigation into COVID-19's origins by the State Department under the Trump administration. In 2015, French intelligence officials warned the U.S. State Department and their own foreign ministry that China was cutting back on agreed collaboration at the lab. Former state official David Asher, now a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute think tank, told the Daily Caller News Foundation. By 2017, the French were kicked out of the lab and cooperation ceased, leading French officials to warn the State Department that they had grave concerns as to Chinese motivations, according to Asher. The State Department alleged in January 2021, at the end of the Trump administration, that the Wuhan lab had engaged in classified research on behalf of the Chinese military since at least 2017. The State Department did not respond to the Daily Caller News Foundation's request for comment. On Thursday, China said it would not allow the World Health Organization to inspect the lab further. China has blocked the WHO from accessing important records at the lab. The Chinese basically sucked state into its honeypot operation to gain access to U.S. technology, knowledge, and material support. Classic, just as they've done in every sector. Between October 2009 and May 2019, the U.S. Agency for International Development provided $1.1 million to the U.S.-based EcoHealth Alliance for a sub-agreement with the Wuhan Institute of Virology, according to USAID. EcoHealth Alliance also received funding from the Department of Defense's Defense Threat Reduction Agency that was subcontracted to the Wuhan lab. New York Magazine reported. National Institutes of Health grants to EcoHealth Alliance totaling $600,000 between 2014 and 2019 were subcontracted to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The NIH, Defense Department, and USAID should have stopped sending U.S. federal funding to the Wuhan lab back when the French warned the State Department in 2015, Asher said. State Department officials in charge of nonproliferation should have shut down all cooperation. The Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is at the center of speculation that COVID-19 may have originated from a lab accident, was initiated in 2004 as a joint project between France and China. France provided the lab's design, biosafety training, and much of its technology. The French envisioned the Wuhan Institute as an open and transparent lab that would serve the global scientific community in studying potential pandemics, according to a State Department cable in April 2018, citing a Wuhan-based French consulate official who worked on science and technology cooperation with China. While top French politicians supported the collaboration, French security and defense experts did not. The French newspaper Le Figaro reported. God. National security officials did not want to share sensitive technology with an oppressive country that was not an ally, and they feared the lab could one day be transformed into a biological arsenal. As early as 2009, the U.S. State Department, then under former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, expressed concerns about the Wuhan lab, asking what France knew of how China planned to vet incoming foreign researchers and avoid technology transfer to countries of biological weapon proliferation concerns, according to emails released by WikiLeaks. The project took more than a decade to complete, and in February 2017, high-level French and Chinese officials held a ceremony to mark the lab's accreditation. Then French Prime Minister Bernard Kazanov, I don't know, has said at the time that it was a celebration of Franco-Chinese scientific cooperation. To support the China-French project, France would make its technical expertise available to China to support the continuous improvement of the laboratory's quality and safety. It would also budget 1 million euros per year for 5 years. That would fund about 50 French scientists to help train the Chinese lab workers. The director of INSERM, a French public research organization that helped set up the Wuhan lab, told the French magazine Science and Santé in May 2017. However, little by little, the laboratory completely escaped the control of the French scientists who were, according to an agreement between Paris and Beijing, to supervise the work of the Chinese researchers in Wuhan, according to Le Figaro. The 50 French researchers who were to work in the lab for 5 years never left, the newspaper reported. In January 2018, a State Department cable warned of a lack of highly trained technicians to operate the lab in a cable first reported by the Washington Post. The U.S. officials who had visited the lab and made the warning via the cable were not permitted to return because they were asking too many questions, according to Asher. So it would seem like, yeah, you look at it and you realize, boy, man, they sure knew what was going on long before anything ever happened, and this could have all been prevented if they weren't so corrupt and greedy. Also, here's another recent story. 3 Americans dead after a plane crashes into a house in Ukraine. Um, it was on Wednesday. A a W-10T Atlantic sports plane crashed into the roof of a house in the Shaparivsky Kolomia district, according to a statement from the State Emergency Service of Ukraine. A light sports plane crashed into a private house with subsequent burning, as a result of which 4 people on board were killed. At 1:58 p.m., the fire was localized on an area of 100 square meters. At 2:47 p.m., it was extinguished. Man, we can confirm the death of 3 U.S. citizens in the Ivano-Frankivsk region of Ukraine. I'm sorry, I don't know. In the village of that place, a spokesperson for the U.S. State Department told BNO News, "We are providing all appropriate assistance to the families." Wow. The 3 victims were reportedly a part of a group of 50 yeshiva students who were on tour of Jewish historical sites in Ukraine, according to Hamodia. The outlet reported that several students had already flown on the sightseeing plane prior to it crashing. The pilot was identified as 60-year-old Igor Tabinuk, the co-owner of a small aviation airfield, BNO News reported. Authorities are still investigating the cause of the crash. Um, that's really sad. That's really sad. Um, One other political story I want to get to before the interesting story. I don't know if it's really interesting. It is to me. Um, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, and Senator Lee are calling for the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. And I thought that this was really important to bring up. So, leading Republican senators filed an amicus brief Monday urging the Supreme Court to overrule its decisions in 2 major abortion cases. Republican Senators Josh Hawley of Missouri, Mike Lee of Utah, and Ted Cruz of Texas filed the brief in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, which the court is scheduled to hear beginning in October, calling on the court to revisit its rulings in Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood of Southeastern Pennsylvania versus Casey. The senators pushed the court to return questions of abortion legislation to the states and challenged the Supreme Court's abortion jurisprudence as unconstitutional. Josh Hawley tweeted out today, "I'm proud to ask the Supreme Court to do justice and to overturn the historically unjust decision Roe v. Wade. Privileged to be joined by my friends and gifted lawyers Ted Cruz and Mike Lee in our brief for the Dobbs case. The status quo is untenable," the senators wrote. "Where a legal doctrine has repeatedly failed to offer clarity, where it has proved unworkable in the past and will likely engender unpredictable consequences in the future. Its existence constitutes an open invitation to judges to interpret it according to their own policy preferences, usurping the constitutional prerogatives of the legislature. Roe and Casey should be overruled, they continue, and the question of abortion legislation should be returned to the states. It should, where it should have never been taken away from the states to decide. Dobbs will be the first major abortion case in which all three of former President Donald Trump's Supreme Court justice appointees participate, including Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who gained a seat on the court after a contentious confirmation process in October. At issue is the question of whether all pre-viability bans on abortions are unconstitutional. The case deals with a 2018 Mississippi law banning abortions after 15 weeks, a law challenged by the Center for Reproductive Rights, the law firm Paul Weiss, Rifkin, Wharton, and Garrison, and the Mississippi Center for Justice on behalf of the last remaining abortion clinic in Mississippi, Jackson Women's Health Organization. After the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals struck down the law in December 2019, the state of Mississippi asked the Supreme Court to take up the case. An unborn baby is considered viable at 24 weeks, though medical intervention and stay in the ICU are usually required this early. Babies born before 23 weeks have a survival rate of about 5 to 6%. An analysis by Charlotte Lozier Institute medical experts found that unborn babies can feel pain as early as 12 weeks. But here's my problem with that. La 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 la. Nope. 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 Yeah. So my problem with that is that the Supreme Court approval has dropped to its lowest point in 4 years. And I don't know what that is to do with. I don't know why it's dropped. Is it because it's not as conservative as people thought it would be? So, only 49% of Americans approve of the highest court's performance, the lowest rating since 2017, according to Gallup. The rating is a 9% drop from just last year when 58% of Americans approved of the court. Meanwhile, 44% disapprove of the job the court is doing, while 7% give no opinion, according to Gallup. The poll was conducted between July 6th and the 21st among 1,007 adults and has a plus or minus 4% margin of error. Both Democrats and Republicans gave the Supreme Court a 51% approval rating, which Gallup senior editor Jeffrey M. Jones attributed to the fact that the High Court has handed down rulings that have alternatively pleased and frustrated both sides of the ideological spectrum. The mix of rulings may have helped keep Republicans from viewing the court as a conservative ally or Democrats from perceiving it as too ideological extreme. Yeah, I could see that. The court has issued a series of rulings recently, such as ruling in favor of a teen who cursed online and was suspended from her cheerleading team, and tossing out an appeal to overturn a lower court's decision allowing a transgender student to use the bathroom that corresponds to their gender identity. In a win for Republicans, the court also upheld Arizona's ban on ballot harvesting. While Republicans applauded the ruling, President Joe Biden condemned the decision and claimed the ruling did severe damage to the Voting Rights Act. Oh, when did that happen? I'm sorry, I just happened to see that the founder of the group Slipknot died at 46. Not that I like Slipknot or nothing, but it's always sad when you hear about somebody dying. Okay, so there's a lot of other things I want to talk about, but since it is summer and people are going on vacations, I thought it was very pertinent to talk about shark attacks, okay? This is from dataquest.io. It says that shark attacks rise as humans increasingly impact oceans. So there's a graph here. The shark attacks since 1970. So the dark are unprovoked, the red are provoked, and purple are other, which I don't really know. So obviously they're mostly unprovoked. But from 1970, now 2019 they went down pretty far. It looks like 2015 was one of the highest shark attack incidents, like over 100. So, shark attacks are on the rise in general and provoked attacks. Incidents in which a shark was confronted with some sort of human interference are on the rise as well. The pattern of attacks is also changing. For example, attacks involving tiger sharks and bull sharks, two of the most aggressive species, seem to be moving northward as climate change warms ocean waters. Below, we can see that the percentage of yearly attacks occurring north of the latitude 32 line appears to be on the rise for both species. That's the blue lines. Okay. I don't really understand what the data is, but I'm just allowing people that are watching on YouTube to take a look at the graph for a second. Collectively, tiger and bull sharks account for roughly half of all reported shark attacks in most years, and the rise in more northern attacks by these species reinforces what marine biologists have already observed. Bull sharks, for example, are mating further north in response to warming waters. Many other shark species have shown similar movement patterns. Our analysis did not find any significant change in the number of northern shark attacks involving white sharks, including the famed great white. But there's an interesting biological reason why white sharks might not be moving north in response to rising water temperatures when other species apparently are. Most sharks, including tiger sharks and bull sharks, are cold blooded, which means that their body temperature matches the water around them. Because of this, they may be particularly sensitive to changing water temperatures. White sharks, on the other hand, are warm blooded, endothermic, and thus may be less likely to alter their behavior based on ambient water temperature changes. So, ectothermic and endothermic. Since most sharks are cold blooded, though, the data suggests that as ocean temperatures rise, swimmers, surfers, and boaters in more northern climates can probably expect an increase in the number of sharks, and consequently the number of shark attacks in their seas. Of course, it's worth remembering that the shark attacks are still tremendously rare. You are far more likely to be struck by lightning, for example, than attacked by a shark. Fatal incidents are rarer still. The data set we analyzed, which contains data on more than 6,000 human reported shark attack incidents, includes just a few reported fatalities each year. Given that humans reportedly kill about 100 million sharks per year, it's pretty clear that sharks have more to fear from us than we from them. Still, if you want to minimize your chances of bumping into a shark, the data suggests you should put your surfboard in storage. Surfing has been the single activity most associated with shark attacks every year since 1980. Swimming and fishing are the second and third most common activities associated with reported shark attacks, respectively. So, this is a graph of shark attacks by activity. So, take a look at that for a minute. However, surfing and fishing shark attacks were quite unlikely to be fatal. Swimming, bathing, and various diving activities, diving, scuba diving, snorkeling, spearfishing, etc., had a significantly higher percentage of fatal attacks. So, yeah, this is by John Kemp. He's been a data scientist since 2011. So, yeah, I mean, I worry about shark attacks. I don't like shark attacks. This is why I don't swim in the ocean, because I don't like sharks and I'm afraid to be attacked by one. I absolutely loathe the ocean. I hate the way the sand feels under my feet, especially when it's wet. I don't like it. I wonder what that's called. Just out of curiosity, I wonder if there's a phobia for that. Phobia for not liking the feel of certain things. I don't know how to word it on your feet. I don't have a fear of feet. My texture issues have always been a little joke. I have issues with certain feeling on feet. Oh, somebody just like me. I have some things, okay. Most of my things are about touch, usually textures. When it comes to eating any type of soggy bread, it's a big no-no. I usually avoid sandwiches. Okay, that's not a big no-no. Even touching it will make me gag. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I cannot stand wet hair. It grosses me out to the touch or the feel of my hair being touched by someone else while wet. Well, that doesn't bother me. Where does she talk about her feet? Let's see. Sometimes I get the feeling in my mouth as if I was chewing on a napkin. There are so many of these little things I can never type them all up, but I'm glad to see that people have mentioned their similar feelings. Yeah. Sensory combination, aka sensory fluctuator, has both over responsivity and under responsivity to sensations. Um, is it possible to love some textures and hate others? Yeah, I would think so. So yeah, there's certain things that I just don't like. Um, right here, I get mine is mainly to do with dry skin. My skin may not even be especially dry when I get this feeling, but I get it on my feet sometimes when I have baggy socks on and the rubbing against my heel. Yuck. I actually took my socks off and stuck my feet in the sink to get rid of the feeling. Man, I hate the feeling of my own hands or feet touching or someone else's hands touching mine or my feet. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't used to have that problem. It's as I got older, and I just don't like the feel of certain things on my feet. And ocean sand is one of them. The bottom of the lake, I don't like the feel of that. Anything mushy, yuck, get me out. So the biggest reason I don't like the beach. And the second reason is because I don't like the ocean. I don't want to swim in it. I'm scared of it. I'm deathly afraid of being that one that's going to get attacked by the shark. And I just don't have a love of the ocean and the beach enough to take the risk of being that one. I'll stick to the mountains. I would much prefer to go like on a mountain vacation, not the beach. That's just me. And it may be weird, but hey, we all have our things and um that's fine. And now you know something a little weird about me. I hate the textures of certain things on my feet. Absolutely. Anyway, I'm going to leave this episode here. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you had a good time. Please join my Facebook, Lauren Collins. I just got to say something. You can email me, gotta say something 21 at gmail.com. You can join my subreddit, r/ just gotta say something. You can find me on Spotify, Pandora, Anchor, Google Podcast, Stitcher. You can like the podcast there and leave me a rating or a review. That would be awesome. And if you're watching on YouTube, please share this video, like this video. You can leave me a comment and I will get back to you. And also, please subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video. All of your support has been absolutely wonderful and amazing, and I love all of you guys. And I forgot to do this the last couple times that I recorded, so please check out and subscribe to the Scott Ford Show and Isaac Hayes at the Cajun Conservative and his Christian podcast, Brothers Just Searching, TV's Rob is Unwoke, and the Armed Lutheran, and my new friend, which I am looking into getting an interview for the channel. I think it's Savage 5050. His name is Nate. Really awesome person. Anyway, have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you back here on Tuesday. God bless.